take a moment. Take a moment and just allow your eyes to close. Just allow yourself to fully arrive here. Can you arrive into the noiselessness within you, amidst the noise in the outside world? Can you drop deeply into that space within yourself that is unmoving and unchanging, even in the midst of so much external movement? Just take a moment. And let yourself really drop deep into yourself. Draw the awareness inward. The attention inward. The focus. Draw it inward. If the mind wanders, just bring it back gently. It's very easy to constantly get pulled out of ourselves into the world around us. But just gently keep drawing the mind, drawing the awareness back inside. You can draw it inside to the breath, or just inside to the experience of being you, right here and right now. Just keep gently and lovingly drawing the awareness back from the outer world to the inner world. From the changing world to the non-changing world. Slowly bring the palms of your hands together at chest level and rub them gently against each other. Press the palms of your hands into your closed eyes. Slowly open your eyes and lower your hands. Welcome to Satsang. So wonderful to be together with all of you. Sorry about our Satsang break from yesterday, but as I had mentioned day before, I had something that I had to be on yesterday. It was beautiful. It was all about forgiveness and the intersection of science and spirituality and faith in forgiveness in our own lives, forgiveness in our cultures and our countries. And it was a very beautiful program, but I missed being with all of you, so I'm glad to be back together. And as always, starting with a question that's come in advance, and then we'll open it up to any questions that any of you have. Someone once told me that it's in losing yourself that you find yourself. I've tried to wrap my head around that ever since I heard it, but I think I'm overthinking it. What's the simple explanation? So the simple explanation is when we lose the identification and attachment to what I call the lowercase s self, which is our stories. The lowercase s self is everything related to this physical body, its characteristics, what it looks like, how old it is, where it's from, what it's experienced, what's happened to it, what it can do, how much it gets paid for what it can do, how other people think about what it looks like and what it can do. All of the stories that we tell ourselves about who we are, based really on nothing more than where the body was born, right? Who are you? Well, this is my name, this is my age, this is where I'm from. It's all based on simply where the body happened to come out. It's not who you are. Then we give our career, our job, our relationships. And again, that's not who you are, that's just what you do and who you do it with. But that's how most of us identify. So in losing the attachment and identification to that lowercase s self, we have the possibility to find the capital S self, the truth of who we are. Whether we say soul or we say spirit, we say divinity, we say higher consciousness, say truth, say love, whatever words we use to describe that aspect of ourselves that was never born, will never die, Doesn't change with the seasons or with our moods or with our weight or with anything. Totally non-impacted by that. It just is. In order to experience that, I have to let go of who I think I am, because who I think I am is blocking me from experiencing what I really am. It's like my favorite story of the guru, where this guy goes in search of this enlightened master, and he finally finds him on a top of a mountain in a cave, just like you would expect, a good guru from the stories to be located. And the man bows at the guru's feet and says, I've come for enlightenment. I want enlightenment. Here's where I'm from. Here's what I've done. Here's what I've experienced. Here's what I need. The guru says, have a cup of tea. The man's like, tea? I don't have time for tea. I came for enlightenment. But the guru goes to the back of the cave and he comes back with 2 cups and a teapot, and he starts pouring the tea into the 2 cups. And he keeps pouring, and the cup is overflowing. And he keeps pouring, and now the tea is spilling out all over the floor. And the guy says, stop pouring. What are you doing? The cup is full. It can't hold anymore. And the guru says, you're just like this cup. You're so full of who you think you are and what you think you know that there's no space for me to give you anything. Just like I can't pour you more tea until you drink what's in this cup, until you empty it. I cannot give you anything in your mind and your sense of self until you empty yourself of who you think you are. So, in simple, that's what it means. We lose the attachment to this false self in order to create space into which the experience of the true self, the divine self, the higher self, can emerge. And it does. In physics we say the universe hates a vacuum. And they use it to explain how higher pressure and lower pressure and things enter. And physics was never my strong suit. But I remember that teaching. And the same thing is true spiritually. If you create space, into that space will flow grace, divine presence, truth. It's just that we're so full already that there isn't any room. So we let go of the falseness in order for the truth. Questions here? Yes.
Pranam, Guruma. There are different philosophies about life. Some says your action, your effort drives your life. Some say your fate drives your life. And there is another philosophy, everything happens by the will of God. So I wonder, what is the determinant, what is the driver of life?
The first 2 examples, the second was everything happens by God. First was what drives your life?
Fate.
Fate, as in my stomach.
Appetite.
Appetite.
Fate.
Feet. Thank you. Fate. Thank you. Fate drives your life.
Yeah.
And what was the second one?
Second is your karma.
Your karma. Okay. Fate, karma, or the will of God. they're not nearly as different as we think. When you say them like this, it sounds like they're three completely different things. Let's take them. So fate or destiny, yes, we all have a fate, we all have a destiny. But our destiny is created how? When a lot of us think of, oh, it must just be my fate or it must be my destiny. It's as though somehow my destiny was written in some very random way, thousands, millions of years ago, somewhere in the sky, and totally disconnected from me and this life in this body. It's just, there's my fate, and there's nothing I can do to escape it. But that's not where our fate comes from. Our fate comes from our karma. So our karma, the word karma actually means action. When we think of karma, we usually use the word karma to mean the fruits of our karma. So we would say bad karma, good karma. But that's more of a Western colloquialism. The word karma actually means action. Now, whether you are studying physics, Newton's laws, or you're studying spiritual laws, either way, actions have reactions. Actions have consequences. Actions have repercussions. Plant a peach seed, you will get a peach tree. Spill water on my sari, it will get wet. Actions have consequences. Share love, you get love. Not always from the other person, because of course their whole karmic package is involved. But if you share love, you feel love inside you, even if the other person can't necessarily respond appropriately. But if I'm creating love and sharing love, I'm feeling love. So everything I do is going to have a consequence, a reaction, a repercussion. There will be what we call fruits of the karma. Now, if you add up the fruits of all of my past karmas, past lives, this life, all the ones that have not already borne fruit, because some of them are immediate, what we would call kriyaman karma. It's immediate. It's not something I need to carry into a next life. I spill water on my sari, it's wet. Then it'll dry. End of story. But a lot of what we do bears fruit later in this life. Some of it bears fruit in next life. We don't always have the results of an action immediately. Your fate is the sum of all of the fruits of all of the actions you've done that have not yet already borne their fruit and finished. So your destiny is created by your actions. I always say the pre of something that is predetermined, right? We say it must be predestined, predetermined. The pre is right here, right now. My action here and now is the pre of that which is predestined for me next week, next month, next year. I am, if you could turn destiny into a verb, you would say, I am destinying myself right now. Right? I'm creating my destiny through my actions right now. So that's karma and fate or destiny. And then God's will. God, as far as my experience, as far as the wisdom that I have received from enlightened masters, from scripture, God's will is one thing and one thing only. That we should realize God. That we should realize self, whether you say self-realization or God-realization. That is what God wants. God is not sitting there having a will about whether you're going to get a particular raise or you're going to get a promotion or you're going to get into a specific university. I mean, it's from a spiritual perspective, it's very helpful. Psychological perspective as well, it's very helpful to be able to simply say, it must be God's will. It's a perspective I fully support, because what it does is it keeps you really calm, really peaceful. It keeps you accepting the universe. Then we're not fighting the universe. Oh, this project didn't succeed. Okay, it must be God's will. It's a beautiful way to live. But it also involves this idea of God as much more of a micromanager than I actually think God really is. That which happens due to wide varieties of intersecting factors. Our past karmas, our karmic journey. Other people's karmas, their karmic journey, because we're all intersecting together. You get a raise, well, someone gave you that raise. It's not your individual karma in a vacuum. Someone had to decide you deserved that more than the other guy. The other guy has a karma, a karmic thread, a karmic journey. All of them are interweaving together to create a situation that is both a result of past karmas, not rewards and punishments, as I always emphasize, just simply a result, but that is also the most conducive situation for you to do the one thing which is God's will, which is to realize God. And so when you realize that everything that happens is happening for a divine reason. And that's why I love people who say, and I even say it, I try to remember to say it, it's all God's will. Even though if you actually pinned me to it, I would say, I think probably God isn't wasting his time, deciding that I'm not going to make it to the dinner because there's too much traffic. Like chances are God was really not so personally involved in my traffic jam. But what it means is it's all in the will of the divine unfolding. When we say God's will, it sort of personifies God, like God has a vested interest in, I should make it to the dinner, I shouldn't make it to the dinner. But if we realize it's all just part of this divine unfolding, that of course, God, the divine, the capital P, planner, whatever we say, has put into motion. But it's happening along with laws of nature. Karma is one of those laws of nature. There's a lot of other laws of nature. And all of our unfolding, it's like my favorite example of this is gravity. Gravity is a law of nature. If I walk to the top of a building and I step off it, and it's a tall building, well, regardless of how high it is, I'm going to fall. If it's a tall building, I'm going to splat on the ground. Now, was that my fate or destiny? Was it written thousands and thousands of years ago that I was going to die by falling off a building? I don't know. Not in my mind. In my mind, that's a result of karma. I've done an action, which is I walked off a building. Maybe I did an action before that. Maybe I got really drunk. Or I took a lot of drugs that led me to believe that I could fly. Or that led me to think that the building was just right there off the ground. And hence I stepped off it. But when I did that, it brought me right into an intersection with a law of nature. And that law of nature is gravity. Now you say, was it my destiny to die? Well, it became my destiny to die when I did the karma of stepping off the building. Or when I did the collective karmas of getting drunk, taking drugs, going to the top of the building, believing what my drug-induced mind told me about the height of the building. Those sequential karmas created a fate that when they intersected with gravity, a law that was put into place with creation, I was going to die. Now, do you say, was it God's will that she should die? Well, no, God just put this law of gravity into place. Was it God's will that I should go against everything I had learned about maintaining presence of mind, maintaining consciousness and mindfulness and awareness? No, God just put this thing called the law of gravity into place when nature was created. So we intersect our actions with the laws that have been put into place by the divine creator. And if we are in alignment with God's one will, which is we should realize God, which means, of course, as we do that, that we experience love in ourselves as ourselves, that we share love, that we experience light in ourselves as ourselves, and therefore we share light, that we realize and recognize the abundance of ourselves, and therefore we share of ourselves with others. That's God's will. That which happens in our life, depending on how aligned we are with God's will, is going to be an intersection of my karma, the laws of nature, and God's will. But hopefully we allow God's will and our alignment with it to be that which guides my karma, my action, so that I'm acting in accordance with my higher goal, which is self-realization, God-realization. And then you find that your life becomes something where you're always just saying, it's God's grace. It's God's grace. It's God's will. It's God's grace. Because that's what's unfolding for you. Rather than constantly going, oh my God, I guess this is my bad fate. My bad fate. My bad fate. Align the karma. And then what you'll see is whatever the destiny of the moment may be, you're going to be able to use it as a way to further your deepening awareness. And then God's will becomes your will. And then it's all just, as Pujya Swamiji would say, by God's grace. Beautiful. Other questions? Yes.
Thank you so much. My question is how not to expect from our good actions or from our loving ones.
How do we stop expecting from our loved ones or the results from our actions? Simply by realizing that it doesn't serve us. There's a term called buddhi. Buddhi means intellect. My ability to use my brain in a good way, hopefully. Introspection, contemplation. This is that which strengthens and purifies our buddhi, our intellect. Now, you have something like expectation. We all expect. It's part of the human condition. If I'm really nice to you, I expect that you're going to be nice back to me. If I treat you with love and care, I expect that you're going to treat me with love and care. If I work really hard for something, really earnestly and sincerely for something, I expect that it's going to bear some kind of good fruit, that there's going to be a positive result from it. These are normal expectations. So the first part is recognize that it's natural to have them. But also just using the power of your introspection and contemplation, ask yourself, does that actually make it any more likely to happen? No. And when it doesn't happen, all those expectations do is make me more upset. And so purely through a process of what we would call Jnana Yoga, the yoga, or Gyan Marg, the path of Gyan, of wisdom. Through that, I realize these expectations are actually hurting me more than they're helping me. You're no more likely to be nice to me because I expect it than if I didn't expect it. You're no more likely to love me back just because I expect you to. The universe is no more likely to give me what I expect. And so simply remind yourself. Be very scientific about it. Okay, so I expected this, it didn't happen, my expectation didn't serve me. Because of course when we expect something and it doesn't happen, then we're really upset. I mean, it's bad enough that someone's not nice to you or doesn't act lovingly to you. That's bad enough as it is. But when you expected that they would be nice to you, and then they're not, then it's a double whammy, because then I'm hurt that they weren't nice, and I'm hurt because my expectation has not been fulfilled. So I'm doubly miserable. And just allow yourself to see that. To see that some bit of your misery is in response to the way they treated you and how you've reacted to that. But a huge percentage of your misery is actually due to the fact that you expected them to be different and that expectation wasn't fulfilled. So the minute that with clear eyes we can realize, my God, it's much more my own expectations than someone else's actions that actually cause me misery, we start to be able to be free of them. I mean, think about it. You walk down the road and there's somebody on the corner who is yelling all kinds of obscenities. And you walk by and this person yells all sorts of obscenities at you. Does it ruin your day? No, right? You realize, all right, the guy is crazy or under the influence or having a bad morning or whatever it may be. But you didn't have any expectation about this guy. It's not going to ruin your morning. Sure, there may be like a moment of, kind of, that was weird energy, and you sort of get that out. But the day goes on, there's no misery. But if you go home, and the person you're expecting to greet you with wide open arms and love starts shouting obscenities when you walk in the house, well then not just the day, but the week is ruined. Because we had such an expectation of what they're going to be like. And that's where just simply through the process of clear thought, we realize, my God, it's my expectations that are causing me misery. And so you start to let them go. And it doesn't mean that you become a pessimist. It's not that you expect that people are going to shout obscenities at you. But you simply realize that it's not in your hands. The only thing in your hands is your own reaction to them. That's the only thing you have any control over. That which you generate from the inside. And so focus much more on that than how everybody else is acting and behaving. In the Bhagavad Gita, one of the very core teachings is do your best, do it with full sincerity, full commitment. But do not have any expectation about what the result of that's going to be. Do not be attached in any way, shape, or form to the fruits of it. Plant your seeds. Plant them with care, with love, with time, with energy, with thought. But you have no control over what sprouts, what flowers, what grows. That's all in God's hands, in the universe's hands. And so we let go. Because we realize the expectation is just a path to misery. And when it does happen, because remember, we're still human, it's going to happen. The moment that sting starts, that internal sense of, you just remember, oh yeah, that sting is because I had expected something so different. And shift your focus immediately in that moment from what that person did to how you can respond differently. Can you find love in this moment even though that person did not act the way you thought they should? And if you can't find love in this moment for them, that's okay. Can you find love in this moment for anyone or anything? Can you just manifest love from within? Because that's going to transform your inner experience. From lack to abundance. From feeling like you didn't get what you needed to recognizing that you have more than you need. And when you do that, that love will then extend into them as well. And it just makes for much nicer relationships, much more peaceful, joyful, grounded, anchored existences here on planet Earth. Because everything other than our own actions, our own thoughts, is ultimately out of our hands. So we offer it with our love, with our best intentions, with our commitment that we will keep serving and acting and loving and as we should. but that my internal sense isn't going to change based on what's happening outside. Yes. Any other questions? We'll take this as our last question tonight.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
The thing you said that God is not micromanaging, everyone.
I don't think so. I don't say that as I heard it from God's mouth. It's just my own internal instinct.
Yeah, but as individuals, we at times feel that God is reciprocating with us at times, and that is what pulls us to spirituality in a way also. So how do we?
Beautiful. And thanks for the beautiful opportunity to expand on that. So God is with us all the time. Reciprocating, absolutely. I love God, God loves me. I mean, God loves me anyway. But when I love God, I feel God's love much more. When I talk to God, I can hear God much more. God is absolutely there with you every minute, every moment. I just don't think that God is wrapped up in the minute-to-minute, moment-to-moment, minuscule details of the drama of your life. I think God is there always knocking on the door of your heart. Hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm here. Whether you made it to the lunch, hey, I'm here. Or whether you're stuck in traffic, hey, I'm here. I feel like for me, that's God's role, is to constantly be there reminding me, holding me in every minute. So I make it to the lunch, God is there with me. I'm stuck in traffic, God's not going to clear the traffic for me. But God's going to be there with me as I'm stuck in traffic, making that which could have been a hellish experience a heavenly experience. That's for me on a personal level. What that experience feels like is that it's not that God is getting involved in the minutia of our day-to-day karmic drama, but that God is with us all the time. In us, as us, flowing through us. And when we're not able to experience that, then feeling like maybe from outside, right? Sometimes you hear the voice from outside, sometimes you hear the voice from inside. Sometimes the love feels like it's from inside, sometimes it feels like it's from outside. But that God is always there. Gently, gently, gently shaking us to open our eyes and behold. To open our eyes and feel and experience. Not the one saying, I told you you should have left 15 minutes earlier. It's traffic time. Don't worry, I'll clear it all for you. Not that. But hey, this isn't what life's about. You make it, you don't make it. Open your eyes. All the people and all the cars on the freeway who you are mentally wishing would just disappear, they are me. Right? I feel like God is saying that to us. They are me. They're not different from you. Don't hate them. Don't wish them away. They are me. Take this moment and experience the oneness with all of these other people and all of these other cars. or whatever the moment may be. But on a personal level, that's how my minute-to-minute, moment-to-moment experience with God is. It's to get me out of the attachment to and worrying about the minutiae of the particular karmic journey, and much more into the question of with whom, as whom, am I walking this karmic journey? Not the plot of the journey itself, but who am I walking this with? Am I fully aware I'm walking it with God? Am I fully aware I'm walking it as the divine flowing through me? And so I feel like, for me, that's the role that very, very personal relationship with God plays. Beautiful. Does that make sense? Good. Have a very, very beautiful rest of your evenings. A beautiful day to our family joining us from all over the world. We are going to have some beautiful kirtan after the satsang, so I encourage you all to stay back for a little while and to listen to our Shreya and Krishna Priya lead us in some beautiful, beautiful kirtan for a short while. And I look so forward to seeing you all tomorrow.
Om Bhurbhuva Swaha Tat Saviturvarenyam